If you think the Create mod was hard, wait until you try Create Above and Beyond. Mining iron only gives you crushed iron ore, and then from there, you're only going to get 3 iron nuggets per crushed iron ore. Mechanical press, the mechanical saw, and all the machines that you normally need to get started with the Create mod. They now require the smithing table and this thing called an andesite machine, which requires kinetic mechanisms, which require andesite, which require a saw blade. It goes very deep. That's because this game's really trying hard to get you to automate. It really wants to test out your contraption building and problem solving skills. So while I was playing this mod pack, I found consistent information hard to find. That is, consistent information on how to proceed through this mod pack. So I decided to put together a little video to help people understand how this mod pack works. And so today we're going to be covering tree farm. Now, after a little trial and error, I've come up with what I think is possibly the best, most efficient, expandable tree farm that you can make in this game. This is the rotational tree farm I built. It's built on windmills, and boy oh boy, you really want to keep the machine running, otherwise things get out of hand. So we can go ahead and jump in here. It looks like I've already messed up a piece of the puzzle here, but we just plop that back on. So if we can get inside here, I can show you how this little bad boy works. So this tree farm right here is the windmill, and it runs based on wind power. This kinetic generator, if you right click it, whatever you installed on it, well, it'll start to work. So I'm gonna let the that's not good. Okay, let's go ahead and stop that. Okay, that ain't good at all right there. That's not. It ain't supposed to be connected like that. That's not how this is supposed to go down. All right, let's get that good. All right, that looking a little better right there. That's looking a little better. Okay. So this, I'm gonna get squished if I don't get out of here. Okay, I gotta go ahead and get out now. Okay. Oh boy, that's inappropriate. That's not what's supposed to be happening. Let's go ahead and turn that off. Not sure where that problem's coming from. That's always a good start. Oh no, still doing it, huh? We're still connected, huh? How did we get connected to this? Was it the trees up here? Is that how we got connected? Oh, it's still connected. Okay, I think I'm connected right here. I think that's what the problem is. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so that's the problem right there. That should normally not happen because these pieces, you can't actually connect to a contraption without some kind of glue. But anyhow, you can see here the mechanical saw is one of the contraptions you'll have to make in this mod pack. While it's sitting on this contraption, it'll automatically cut through on its own. And as you can see, this is running pretty slow. Oh my goodness, it doesn't seem to matter how much I clear this weather, it just wants to keep on coming back. So here you go. Now you can see a little more of what this contraption looks like. So this is kind of the beginner basic tree farm that I usually see people make. You get yourself a windmill and you attach yourself a radial chassis to it, and the radial chassis allows you to create some kind of contraption on it. If you get yourself some wool, which really shouldn't be that hard to get early game, and you glue the wool onto the radial chassis and glue the wool to itself, then you get yourself a little contraption here that runs on wind speed. But the most important thing about this is that the rotations per minute, we're at about a 1. This is about the slowest contraption you can make. But don't let that deter you. The windmill can get pretty strong, as I'll show you soon enough. Anyway, what you get here is a little contraption that runs all on its own. And you've got your little deployer here that's automatically planting trees for you, and your blade's cutting trees, and it's getting stored right there. The second farm here utilizes what's called a mechanical bearing, not the same as the windmill bearing. This is because this one requires some sort of power source to keep it going. And as you can see, the power source we're using here is an encased fan, another contraption that you'll have to end up making at the very start of the game. The encased fan takes heat. As you can see here, we've got ourselves a magma block. So it'll take that heat source, and when turned on, it'll blow and it'll give us some kind of rotational force. As you can see here, yeah, this machine's moving. Now, if I right-click the contraption won't move because the mechanical bearing, as you can see, right-click the bearing with an empty hand to attach your structure. If we right-click the bearing, you can see the bearing is going to do exactly the same thing as our windmill bearing's doing. Again, this makes it another good starter farm. You got your saw chopping up. We've got our deployer putting down saplings, and they're all getting thrown into this little box right here. And again, to connect all this, you just throw a single block onto the top of that mechanical bearing, and then you apply yourself some good old-fashioned super glue. That's right, you slap some glue on the top, And you can connect basically any block in this game to that. Now this farm is a little chaotic, to say the least. It's not really my favorite, but I had to show it just to give you all your various options. This farm utilizes a thing called a cart assembler. So basically, any contraption you build on top of this thing, when the cart comes through and you turn on your cart assembler, it's going to go ahead and grab it and spin all around and do all the things it's supposed to do. However, it's important to note that this specific contraption I'm calling the free rotation farm. That's because, as you can see on here, the cart mode allows it to pivot. Whatever contraption we have on there, it pivot and rotate with that cart. And what better way to show you than to just slap it on so you can see it in action. As you can see, that little arm swings around and does its job. I always find this farm a bit chaotic because it has a hard time when it comes around too fast, it misses some of the block. Are you kidding me with this rain again? This is unbelievable. I know. I could set it with no rain. I know I can do that. I can set it. But I don't want to. Chaotic rotational farm. Not really my favorite here. So this one, using the same cart contraption, the only difference is that now we're locking the rotation. So I call this one the locked rotation farm for obvious reasons. Let's check it out. As you can see, it goes forward, chopping up that's a beautiful bird right there. That's quite the lovely bird. It goes back and forth, and the arms handle the planting. Extremely straightforward and is extremely expandable. One of my favorite farms here. Now, if I turn this contraption off, I want to show you something real quick. You can see that I have filters on these deployers. In this filter, we're filtering out some birch wood, and in this filter over here, we're going to put down some oak. So that on one side, we've got the oak going, and on the other side, we got the birch going. And the great thing about that is that you can now get two types of logs being made on your farm. Showing you here the 4 basic farms and how they work and how they grow. Let's go ahead and see what happens if we try to optimize all these farms. So here is our windmill farm. So we get this windmill farm started, and let's see how it works. In this test, I attempted to use 6 saw blades for each experiment to see how well it works. I also attached to some of them a portable storage interface. Now this portable storage interface allows the contraption to deposit its items into a chest connected through a hopper and a chest below. Otherwise, if this contraption was spinning, then you're not going to get access to the chest. So the portable storage interface allows this connection to take place. Let's actually go ahead and deactivate this real quick, just because I want to show you something. There's a lot of stuff that it has to dump out of there, and we don't need to sit here through all of that. So if we want to turn this machine off so we don't have to wait for it to dump everything, what we could do is put a line. What we could do is just let it wait and do its job instead of getting impatient. But if you put a lever on here, I still want to show you how this works. If you put a Well, it's destined to rain. If you put a lever and you turn it on, it will deactivate the portable storage interface. So now this machine won't stop. It will keep on spinning. And the only time it'll stop is if we activate that. This is one of the ways you can optimize your windmill farm. As you can see, we've got the 3 deployers going. You don't need any more than that because it'll cover all of them. With how fast the deployers are going down, they will plant enough for your contraption to handle chopping them all down. And the more wind sails you add onto this, the faster it goes. As you can see, we've got the wool. The wool itself is causing us to have a good portion of speed, but then we've got these sails, which aren't really that hard to make. If you take a look at them here, the sails are, I did that 100% wrong. Hold on. If you take a look at the sails here, you just need a handful of sticks and, oh look, iron nuggets, which we all know is easy to come by. And you can make yourself some sails and get yourself some really good speed. Let's drop down in here and see what we're working with. It looks like we're, oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? Okay, so this is fun. If you would like to learn more about the stress units, how they work, how rotational speed works, and how this works, let me know. I'm thinking of making another video explaining how all this works. Oh my goodness, we're getting it again. Here's the rain again. At this point, it's just a joke. It's just a joke at this point. And so here we are with the mechanical bearing. Now this is crazy at the moment. I'm not using magma like I did for this because I wanted to optimize this and I wanted to show you the most optimized version of this. So anyway, what we did is we take this and we bring all of this down using gearboxes. Gearboxes allow us to change the directions of our rotational force. In this case, we're using a vertical gearbox to pull it down this way and underground so that we can send it to our mechanical bearing. So remembering what we talked about, you can't activate it without actually turning on the mechanical bearing. Okay, so immediately you can see just how fast this one is. It's only slightly faster than our windmill contraption, but it requires a lot of setup. 6 saw blades, 3 deployers, and you could put down 3 different trees by putting 3 different filters on each tree. Oh my god, it's raining again. I know, I could turn it off, but this is just incredible. I just got... What are you doing? And with that, I've cleared the weather. Let's be honest. I actually don't know how to permanently turn off the weather in the game. I think it's like a game rule, right? Like game rule and do weather cycle or something like that. Game rule, do weather cycle. Ah, there it is. And you can set that to false. You know, I could do that, but it's just been kind of funny every time it happens. So we're just going to leave it and just deal with it. Okay, so the wild contraption. Oh boy. The wild rotational contraption. So my idea behind the wild rotational contraption was somebody who wanted to maintain their forest. They didn't want to have this rotational thing sitting somewhere. They didn't want to have this strictly parallel farm here. So they wanted their trees to actually look kind of like a forest. Like a forest that you could still kind of traverse through, and from a distance it wouldn't look like, you know, too much of a contraption aside from the big contraption there, but from the distance it wouldn't look too much like a farm. It would just look like a typical forest until you got inside and you saw the tracks, and it would cause a little bit of like, well, what's all these tracks are, what's all this about? This one gave me no end of trouble, I will tell you. Just I couldn't even manage to install 6. Only managed to get 5 because I had so many issues with this. But we'll go turn it on and we'll find the cart. Here's the cart. We'll get the cart pumped and we'll try to follow this so you can see how this works. So the deployers are going to deploy and it's going to try its best to take down trees. And as you can remember from the wild one over there, it does skip some of the trees and it does miss some of the trees, which I could not figure out how. I understand what's happening is that the contraptions are going too fast in the turns, and so the saw blades aren't able to detect a tree in time, so it's not like that one. It's not able to cut the tree, so it flies through it. So that's one problem that you still can go through and try to solve if you don't like that. But if you like the idea of having your farm still look like a forest, then you won't mind that some of the trees are left up because it still creates this forest-like look and this farm here. However, you're probably wondering about these poppies. Well, some of you may have already guessed that the deployers, well, they deploy everywhere. They don't stop. As far as I know, you can't control where the deployers go once they're on the contraption. They just go, 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 go. So the only way I could keep them from deploying was to put something there so that the deployer couldn't put anything down. So I put a bunch of poppies down, thinking that would be the best. I tried mushrooms and red mushrooms to go along with these trees, but from a distance, the poppies ended up looking a little better, kind of giving it this forest, flowery forest vibe. But it is still not really my favorite. It's fun, and it probably could be a fun thing to do, but I don't even like leaving this thing running because of how crazy it is. Like, at one point, I had to actually push this back because I had the rails turning immediately here, and when the cart came around, it would come around so fast that for some reason the game would register it as hitting the lever, and it would turn the lever off and just completely shut the contraption off. It just made no sense. So I had to turn that off. I had to make those longer so that I could avoid that issue. And the last farm, which is still running, which means if this farm has been running this whole time, there's probably a load of, impressive. So this is my favorite farm thus far. That's because I have it turned off so it hasn't dumped its stuff. Cool, cool, cool. So this is my favorite farm thus far. It can be expanded so far. It can plant just multiples of different trees. You just... We do love the rain, don't we? This parallel contraption, I'm calling this the locked rotation farm, where it just goes back and forth. And the great thing is because it's a contraption, it will only interact with what it's supposed to interact with. So it will actually pass through logs, so you don't have to worry about it getting stopped by that. And then it'll come back and boop, take care of the logs it's supposed to take care of. And as you can see, it could plant multiple of the same trees, or it could plant multiple different trees, so you can just get a plethora of any kind of wood you want. I went with birch, oak, and spruce for this example. You could use any kind of tree. And the best part is that if you use doubles in some of these, because of the 3 saw blade situation, if you ended up getting, say, a, a spruce log or a spruce tree like this, that would be able to take it out simply because it's got enough blades to take out these big boys. And in this mod pack, there's even a bigger one. Some of you might have seen this. There's Redwood Saplings, and they kind of grow the same way as the dark oak and the spruce sapling. So these bad boys get real big, and they make these big chunky logs, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sometimes they make a 3x5, and sometimes they make 5x5. So they make big fat boys. So if you mess around with the redwood logs, I'd say make it a little bit bigger than 3 saw blades. Otherwise, you're going to leave part of that tree hanging. Jungle logs can get the biggest, even bigger than spruce. And these redwoods, they tower over spruces. I mean, obviously, they're redwood trees. But what I discovered is the fir sapling. Bro, fir saplings don't mess around. They don't mess around. I don't know what is wrong with the fir saplings, but bro, they are the tallest tree in this game, at least in Create Above and Beyond. They are the tallest tree in this game, and thus will give you the most logs per capita. So if you come across a fir forest, which you probably will, since it usually spawns you in that biomes of plenty, grab a couple of those and throw those in your tree farm. If you don't really care about the look of your farm at all, those will really give you a ton of logs for, you don't even need a farm that big. You can use one of the small farms for how many giant, this tree is just huge. Like, look at that. Like, it dwarfs the redwood, which we saw was a big tree, and the spruce is also supposed to be a huge tree. And the jungle, as long as we're doing this, we might as well do all of them. Check this out. The jungle, even if you do a 4x4, it still has a hard time. Like, it's there. It's still towering over our spruce and our redwood, but it's having a rough time with that fir. That fir is it's just so big. It's bigger than the jungle. So you end up with trees like this because our farm is actually stopping. Well, the contraption is hitting this point, and it's not being able to get back far enough for the saw blades to detect these trees. And the best way I found to fix this is to just push your contraption out a little farther. So we'll let it go first so that we don't have any issues, and then we do that. And so if we push it out just a little bit farther, don't have it as close to your starting point, and you'll see, it goes back far enough that it can actually hit those. And there you go, problem solved. Any of these tree farms will get you the logs you need. It's just all dependent on your play style. If you play the game at a slower, casual pace, the windmill contraption or the mechanical bearing contraption will serve you just fine. And if you like aesthetics, you want to try to keep it looking like a forest, then perhaps you could do the rotating contraption, unless you can figure out a better way, but that's also your option. It works just as well. And for the best bang for your buck, the locked rotation farm will serve you pretty well. I would say that the best tree farm, the best starter tree farm in the game is the tree farm that you